I'm Colby Smith, thanks for watching. I'm sick of this general election already. It hasn't even like cranked up to like top level yet, you know, and it's doing my head in, you know. It hasn't even got to the level of fever pitch we had when the Scottish independence vote was happening. And that says to me that it doesn't matter, this generation doesn't matter, because they're all basically vaguely the same. Whereas, you know, if Scotland had left the UK, that would have been a big change. No matter what happens in this general election, there ain't going to be a big change, you know, barring some kind of miraculous Green Party victory or the UKIP or something. But, you know, I'm sick of it. It's this politics of hate and envy, and, you know, there's no, like, hope looking towards the future. There's always someone who's got to be blamed, someone whose fault it is. And it's never the people in charge. It's always someone at the bottom of society. And, you know, ever since this Jihadi John got named as this British Mwazi guy, and, you know, how he became radicalised, and you've got commentators on the news asking about who radicalised him, how, you know, who are the people that are to blame, is it MI5, is it hate preachers, clerics, whatever, you know. And I just look around at this election campaign that's already starting to, like, go through the gears, and I think, you know, we don't need the Quran and, like, Muslim clerics or whoever they're blaming it on to radicalise, like, young people, you know. We got the politicians doing it themselves, you know. They're turning us against each other. You know, they're turning people, you know, they're blaming all these people. They find the majority people and they pull them all together and they point them at the minority. You know, there's always someone who's going to be affected by that, whether you're the minority or not. You know, the minority is going to feel that eventually. You know, it's just this, all this hate coming from our government. You know, I watched his dispatches the other day and they sanctioned the guy. He couldn't, like, he could barely walk. He couldn't even sit down. You know, he couldn't do anything. He couldn't work, and he desperately wanted to work. And they sanctioned him. And I just thought, what kind of hate-filled government does that? You know, it's disgusting. And then you've just got all this rhetoric about immigration. You know, they all go for it. UKIP at the top, the Conservatives, Labour. You know, he's asking questions in PMQs today. Ed Miliband's asking direct questions about immigration. He's making it a topic because he knows that that'll split UKIP and the Conservatives. You know, that'll split that vote, the right-wing vote. But it's a non-issue. All this hate, you know, and it makes me think, no wonder these young fucking dark-skinned people, mainly Muslims, are becoming radicalised. But I think, you know, if they looked at me, they'd probably think, well, he's a radical for sure. You know, I look at what the government says is their definition of extremism, and it is anyone that disagrees with fundamental British values. And I think to myself, who sets these fundamental British values? The government, the Conservative Party sets these fundamental British values. They're not setting British values, they're setting Conservative values. So if you disagree with the Conservative Party, that means you're an enemy to democracy, you're an extremist, you've been radicalised. And I just think, you know, I see these, like, they're coming out and they're saying, there's so many immigrants, just a tiny little island, stretched public services, and like all these there's limited space on this tiny little green island, and all these immigrants coming in, the NHS can't handle it, you know, they're putting a strain on our public services. And I think, you know, I'm a second generation immigrant. My mum came over here as an immigrant from the Caribbean, and I think, well, you know, if she's a burden on the NHS, you know, as a byproduct, I'm also, you know, I wouldn't be here if she hadn't come. So, you know, I put myself, when Farage or whoever says immigrants are a strain on the public services, that makes me think, what? So I'm a strain on the public services. If I go to a hospital, you're saying that I'm a strain on the public services. If I get on a bus, I'm taking up a bus seat for a white English person. What the fuck, man? You know, I work my entire life. Every week I go to work. One day, a whole day I spend working for the government. You know, I'm basically a slave for a government for that whole day. My entire pay for that day goes to the government for the last 10 years of my life. And you're telling me I'm a fucking strain on services? It's just sickening. You know, if that's the only way you can get people in this country to vote, then fuck democracy. It's not even worth having. It's just like, and you got these people, you know, yeah, if you grow up, you know, you don't need fucking clerics to radicalise people, and you got the government blaming people. Like, you know, I'm like, you know, I think, you know, I've educated myself enough to know that I'm not a strain on the NHS, even though they're telling me that. But, you know, there's some people who probably watch the news, like immigrants, sons of immigrants, you know, grandsons of immigrants, who watch the news and probably think, you know, they probably think to themselves, fucking hell, this whole country hates me. You know, I can't go to the doctors anymore because I'll have people looking at me in a doctor's surgery thinking, oh, well, I haven't seen a doctor yet and this fucking immigrant's taken up my space. You know, I see people, you know, it just makes me think, fuck. No wonder there's so many fucking disenfranchised youth. You know, you don't, when you grow up, you know, you've got the choice of when you leave school, whether you go to university and debt yourself up with like 30 grand's worth of debt, or, you know, or you want to buy a house when you leave school, you got like £200,000 worth of debt. That's no future to look forward to, is it? That's nothing that makes you want to become part of society. You just leave school and you're kicked out, and you said, you know, they're cutting off benefits for under 24s. You've got no housing benefit. We're not going to help you find a house. It's just like, no wonder they've got no stake in society. Like, no wonder. They're victimised and blamed. You know, you can't get on the housing ladder. The fucking generation above us took the fucking ladder with them when their house price went up 20%. You know, people are fucking alienated. The government is not doing anything to, like... You can't tell me that they're blaming, you know... One minute they're blaming immigrants for the strain on the NHS, for the strain on public services, the police, the firemen, you know, they're saying, oh, they're stretched beyond belief. And then the next breath, they're announcing cuts to the NHS, to the firemen, the police. You know, it doesn't take a genius to work out what they're doing. They're taking our money. It was our money in the first place. They're taking it away from us. And then when we turn up and say, where's our money gone? We're like, oh, fucking Mohammed down there nicked it, or fucking the Romanian builder fucking nicked it. You know, where's the politics of fucking hope? You know, where's the, like, I don't know, people say to me, you know, you're shooting for the moon, you're never going to achieve a utopia. But, you know, I'd rather we were more moving towards a utopia rather than, like, backing away from the utopia, which is what we're doing now. We're just going downhill. You know, and I just think, do I want to have a kid in this country who's going to have a different colour skin to the majority of people in this country, if he's going to feel the same things that I felt, like alienated and like cut off from society? I don't want it. I don't want to be in this country anymore if it's going to go on the way it's going on. I just want to fucking leave, burn my passport and never come back, because it's going down the gutter. And I just don't, you know, I don't know. I walk down the street and I think, you know, how many people, like, have fully bought into this idea that it's immigrants to blame? You know, these people, like, walk past the street and someone looks at me and I don't know if he's thinking in his head, like, fucking immigrants, get out. You know, that's what this fucking politics has done. It's made me paranoid in my own home. You know, I don't know what to fucking do anymore. They put fucking pictures of people that look like me, young men that look like me, on the front of the fucking newspaper every week, calling them terrorists. Like, pictures of them chopping off people's heads every fucking week. Well, no wonder these people are getting radicalised, you know, because there's just nothing to cling on to. There's no fucking goodness left. You look to our leaders, want them to do something, like, say something inspiring and decent, and all they can do is just blame, blame, blame. I'm sick to death of it. It's just the politics of fucking envy and greed. You know, they don't want to blame, they don't want to look at themselves and blame themselves. I just feel like I'm fucking flogging a dead horse sometimes. Just sick of it. You know, I was born in this country. I got a British passport, and you know, I paid taxes my whole life. You know, I can pretty confidently say I've contributed more economically to the system than I've took out. And they make me feel like a stranger in my own home. It's sickening. You know, and what can I do? Colby Smith, thanks for listening.